On this episode of the Star Trek Universe podcast, we're going to be talking about Star Trek short treks, The Brightest Star. Right after this.
Welcome to Star Trek Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
Hi, I'm David C. Robertson.
Hey, Dave. How you doing, buddy?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean,
cool.
Kind of did a lot of work to get the our first Discovery rewatch up, and then I also had a DC on screen to put up last night, and then kind of turned around and went, oh, crap, this thing is dropping. We got to do another podcast.
Yeah, we got a short trek right now. So what were your thoughts? What were your general thoughts of The Brightest Star?
Well, my initial thought right out of the gate. So, the Kelpians harvest kelp?
What now?
That's a bit of... The Kelpians were harvesting kelp.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty funny.
I mean, it's a bit on the nose. I guess it's no worse than Starfleet going, hey, there are two worlds there. Let's call them Romulus and Remus.
Right. Yeah, I guess it's not so unfounded. There's a lot of stuff like that in Trek, but yeah, that is funny.
Yeah.
And they're also being harvested by another race.
Right. And I think, yeah, the Baul. And I've never heard of the Baul in Star Trek before.
Yeah, I haven't either. I wonder if the Baul are warp capable.
They're not. Oh, the Baul. The Kelpians aren't. But yeah, I don't know. I would assume the Baul are.
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't want to make that assumption. At first I was like, oh, but here's the thing: if they were a warp capable race, then I think that might override the Prime Directive. I'm not sure, but if they're a warp capable race and they're subjugating other races that are sentient, it might be under Federation.
The Baul don't have to necessarily be part of the Federation.
Well, no, I know. But I'm just saying, like, so the reason the Federation can't get involved with the Kelpians is because they're not warp capable. But if they're being subjugated by a warp capable species, I think that still fits that they could get involved. I think. I'm not sure, but I don't think they allow I don't think that Federation allows other warp capable races to just go around subjugating sentient species.
That's usually, I think, the argument is we can't get involved. They can't know we exist because we're warp capable. We're gonna mess up the evolution of their species. They were meant to be subjugated, and then there's always someone like a Kirk or something saying, "No, it's not right though. We've got to stop it." And in really good Trek, they find a way to do that without revealing themselves.
Right. Well, I would say it's not clear. It's not clear that they are that the Baul or whatever are warp capable. I think they're. I would hope they're not. I feel like that's a stupid rule if they're saying that being subjugated by a warp capable race is okay if you're not warp capable, because that just means you never get the chance to become warp capable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if the Klingons found a race they wanted to subjugate for whatever reason, I feel like the Federation, if they could, would still work to free that race from subjugation.
And they might, but that's all up in the air. And I feel like Star Trek has actually dealt with that a whole lot before in previous series. But we don't know what the Baul is. Right.
We just know they have a little black box. I felt like this episode, this little short trek should have. I needed a language training montage, him figuring out how to use that little device, because it just seemed too easy.
It did seem a little too easy, but we don't know how much he messed with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think he needed to mess with it more. or he needed to mess with it a lot to figure out what was being said or whatever. And I felt like we only ever saw him touch it like 3 times. I felt like we could have seen him like a little like montage of him going over and messing with it, and him like waiting for everyone to go to bed and running off and doing something with it, or him waiting for people to leave so he could work on it. Him taking like extensive notes and trying to decipher them, stuff like that, because it was just a little too easy. It was like they said hello. They said today. Or tomorrow, or whatever they said.
Today.
And, it was today. And then it's like he understood those things. So did he just like understand? But it was written in English. Yeah, it was just weird.
I'm not sure he knew hello when he first got it. I do think he knew.
I don't think he did. I don't think he did.
By the time today came around, he did.
Yeah, so I didn't feel like they did a good job of explaining that he like. Or showing me the Rocky montage of him like learning to speak English.
I agree with that.
Or learning to read English. I could have it would have honestly invested me more in Saru's character if like he's the type of guy who works that hard to achieve something. That's a really hard thing to do, and I feel like they glossed over it.
I do feel like they glossed over it, but I feel like that was a very small point of contention for me, because I liked the rest of it so much.
Yeah, tell me about what you liked.
Well, I loved that Saru's father was like a religious leader who ardently felt that like questioning their gods, their situation, their purpose of the sacrifice was blasphemous. That resonated a lot with me as a person who has experienced like a Southern Baptist church and a private Christian school in his formative years. Like,
right.
Not everyone had that outlook. Like, far from it. But I do know what it's like to get that vitriolic pushback for having questions.
Yeah, or just being different in general, caring about different things than the people around you. I mean, we're also both in Alabama and grew up in a pretty rural part of Alabama, especially like you said.
I did not grow up in a rural part of Alabama.
No. I just mean like we went to church. I was about to amend that and say where we went to church. In a very rural part. That's where me and Dave met when we were 6 years old at church, and out in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, it's just a very it's a different kind of world that I think we've both chosen to sort of live in. It does sort of feel like what Saru was going through was very connected to my experience as a young person too. I totally understand that.
Yeah, I feel bad for his sister though. She didn't seem to be that interested in being there either. But they did have that little bit at the end where she was like, try looking down, there's beauty there as well. So like she had like found beauty there and found happiness there to some degree, it seemed.
Yeah, well, and also was, I think, trying to convince him to stop looking to the stars. So even though I think that wasn't just representative of her finding happiness, I think it was also representative of like she is part of that system that he wants to break out of. But I think he loves his sister. He looks back, he thinks for a moment about staying, and I think that this episode's fun. But it just makes me want him to go back and save his people.
Me too, but he can't. Like, that was one of the things, like, I was on total yellow alert when that Starfleet shuttle came down, and I was like, this is not kosher, this is a major Prime Directive no-no. And then, Lieutenant Giorgio explains herself, talking about how hard it was for her to convince them that he was exceptional and that he deserved to get off of that world. She hung the lantern, and I was fine and happy with that. I actually really enjoyed that. That does seem like something the best of the Starfleet captains would do, is
fight for someone who's exceptional.
Right, encounter something like that and say, "Oh, well, he's not like the rest of them, though. Look at this. He's transcended. He's already been affected by technology that was not his own." And maybe that's, I suspect, and obviously I have no idea. They haven't created that part of it yet, but it feels like the Baul is probably part of the same species or a slightly different species that's on Kaminar, maybe, with the Kelpians, and have just like grown in technology and started subjugating them. In which case, the Prime Directive, they couldn't have done anything. If they're not a part of the Federation, but they are, even if they are warp capable, if they're not in the Federation, like, they can't go around imposing their rule on others.
Oh, but they try.
Some of them try. That's part of the beauty of the franchise, is that we can have these kinds of conversations within the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally with you on that. I just think that I'm curious about the particulars of the Prime Directive as it relates to that, and they avoid the issue by not telling us whether the Baul are warp capable or not. Now, in an earlier episode of Discovery, I'm pretty sure that Saru said the reason his species were the way they are, the reason they developed, is because they have been conquered over and over.
I think I said that because I remembered it wrong, but I would love to go back and look at that.
Well, we're in the middle of our Discovery rewatch.
But we've already passed by those episodes. They were the first two episodes. I will say this: Bo Yeon Kim and Erica Lapolte, they were the ones who wrote "Into the Forest I Go," which was a Saru heavy episode, and where he's on that planet that reminds him of Kaminar.
Yeah, I like that episode a lot.
So they wrote this, and I could tell. Like, I wondered, and I was like, I stopped it and looked it up. I was like, this feels like a really good. I wonder if this is the same people, and it was totally the same people.
Neat. I liked the just the cinematography of this episode. And one thing we talk about them using Discovery for these short treks because they already have the sets.
Right.
They not only had sets, they created these sets. You know, it looked mostly outdoors. Not only did they create these sets and these new looks for this planet, but they also had a lot of Kelpians, which is not inexpensive. I feel like the production value on this episode was really high.
I feel like it may have been high. They may have used the same people they had for the Kelpians in the Mirror Universe episodes.
Oh, good call. Good call. I forgot about that. I was like, I couldn't think of other Kelpians we've seen. So, yeah, that's
because it's not like we would have really noticed. Maybe I'm wrong.
No. Yeah, and they definitely could have had the same masks over the same. I could not tell the difference between Kelpians. I'm sorry, I'm a little Kelpian racist apparently, because they all look alike to me, except for the female.
I mean, there were a bunch that got vaporized, and then there was the female and his dad, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I was trying to pay attention to where Saru was in some of especially in that scene with a lot of them getting vaporized, and I was like, I guess he wasn't there, but I was just like, where is he? Where is he? Which one's him? They all look like him to me.
He was in the hut.
Yeah. It's so funny. I think I had a similar. When I was younger, Klingons looked similar to me, but I've now known enough Klingons in my day that now they don't. It's so funny how that works. But I'm not familiar enough with the Kelpians to be able to tell them apart yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm super interested in what the Baul are and what they're doing and why they need to sacrifice Kelpians. I hope we do get back to that at some point in season 2 or somewhere in the future.
I feel like I know in Discovery we've gotten some information about the Kelpians.
Not the Kelpians, the Baul. But
Right. But I'm saying there are, you just said why they want the Kelpians, and I want to say they talked about them being livestock or something like that in another, and maybe that was from Mirror Universe. I just don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we knew in the Mirror Universe they were conquered and they're enslaved and eaten by the Terran Empire.
Right. Well, we will try to figure that out and bring you more information on the Kelpians. I'm sure we'll have lots more episodes relating to Saru.
Right. They have a quote here that says, "It is well known that my species has the ability to sense the coming of death." That is a quote from Saru, but it says nothing about his world having been conquered over and over again. So I may have just made that up in my head somewhere along the way.
Okay. I just remembered it. I didn't remember where. So maybe.
Yeah, I may have totally just made that up. I don't know. I apologize, as I know I've said it on the show.
I remember something about it being livestock, and I don't know if that was just in the Mirror Universe or if that was mentioned in Prime Universe as well. But anyway, any other thoughts on this episode? This little short trek? I know we're doing a quick short episode on a short trek, but
yeah, I don't think so. I will say this is probably my favorite one yet.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Although I think the
others were more fun, but I think this one holds together better and takes a reasonable swing at the canon. Like, they're just kind of filling in this little corner of the canon, like they talked about, and not making like a kind of a almost ridiculous swing at what's going on.
Oh, here we go. In the Vulcan Hello, Saru tells to Michael Burnham, says, "Your world has food chains, mine does not. Our species map is binary. We are either predator or prey. My people were hunted, bred, farmed. We are your livestock of old. We were biologically determined for one purpose and one purpose alone, to sense the coming of death."
There we go.
That was it.
That was it. I thought I remembered a livestock thing in there somewhere.
I guess like so I'm going to go on a limb here and say the Baul basically bred them for the purpose of what they are doing on Kaminar.
Which I'm assuming is eating them.
Maybe.
Or yeah, I guess
maybe
their livestock aren't necessarily food. They could be slaves.
Well, maybe they're training them because of the sacrifice, maybe they are training them to sense death, and then they're abducting them. Maybe they're teleporting them and using them to sense death for themselves.
That's possible. I don't know. It's crazy.
I want more. I want to know what's happening here.
Yeah, me too. Me too. All right. Well, that's about all I got to say. Anything else you want to present about this short trek? No,
I'm good. I do enjoy the idea of Calypso a little more than this. I want to see more of that too. But right. Yeah, I really enjoyed this trek. This short trek.
I really enjoyed Calypso, and I even really enjoyed Runaway. But this one just overall, I think, is more the direction they should go with these, probably, instead of the very large swings as those other ones took. Next up on the short treks, we have The Escape Artist.
And with Harry Mudd.
Yeah, do you think that's going to be him escaping from the Klingons?
Maybe. I think it might actually explain how he got away from the Klingons. I don't know.
That would be fun. That would be fun to go back to that and like fill in how he got away and what led to him attacking Discovery or whatever.
Well, we know what led to him attacking Discovery. He said he was going to find Lorca and come back for him.
I know. I'm just talking about what actually led up to that.
Oh,
we know his motivation, but what happened in that meantime?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we are the Star Trek Universe Podcast. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We'll be back with you next couple days with more Discovery Rewatch, and we'll be hitting you up with any news that happens to come along. Peace.
Later, guys. Live long and prosper.
To reach out to us, hit us up at StarTrekUcast.com, at StarTrekUcast on Twitter, Star Trek Universe Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for us there, or send us a message at StarTrekUcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv. And if you want to hear more from Matthew Carroll, that's me, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, or go listen to my music at MatthewCarrollmusic.com or anywhere you get music.